Okay. Well, I just completed my first weekend of slalom racing at the Blackwater with New England Slalom Series 2025. And this is just a video diary entry where I'm going to say everything I remember about the weekend. It was fun. It was interesting. It was humbling. The campsite was great. It was right on the river. Everyone was very friendly. I felt very welcomed. I met a lot of people. Hopefully I'll remember some of their names. I did a course, Austin Huck did a sort of a little lecture on how slalom works. Covered some things. And then we walked the course. The course walk was a little bit useful, not too useful. Probably if we'd spent more time on it, it would have been more useful, but none of us really wanted to spend more time on it, including me. We just wanted to go paddle it. So we got our boats, and I brought the slalom racing kayak that I have currently on loan from Mark Stevens, and I brought my playboat, Dizzy, the purple Perception Spin. And I haven't been in whitewater this year before yesterday, and I was in whitewater one day, I think, last year, maybe two, but probably just one. Haven't paddled a lot, and so at first the river looked pretty big to me. Honestly, I think it was just class 2. Maybe it was slightly big class 2, but really it was class 2. My first thought upon getting there was, maybe I should run this in my playboat first before I run it in the slalom boat, which I've never even had in moving water. But I decided, what the heck? It's class 2. I'm a good boater. It'll be fine. And in fact, it was fine. So I put on for my first practice run and take off for the first gate and immediately realize that the slalom boat is harder to handle, which is what I noticed in flat water. But boy, could I tell the difference in whitewater. So it's tippier, not too surprising, because it's narrower, and it's a lot.
In 2 miles, take the I-93 south exit toward Manchester, Boston.
Getting a little navigational instructions there. It's where was I? It's tippier. It's harder to turn and harder to make go straight all at the same time. So my first run down, the gates came at me really fast. The first 6 gates were, from just standing at the shore looking at them, they look like they're just a straight shot. They're not really a straight shot. At least one of them. So, 1, 2, and 3 were kind of a straight shot. 3 was a little offset, but then 4 was more offset, and then 5 was sort of was on a straight shot if 4 wasn't there. And, I wasn't yet doing the pre-turning where, I angled for the gate after the one I'm about to pass through before I get to the one I'm about to pass through. So I missed several of them. There was...
In half a mile, take the I-93 south exit toward Manchester, Boston.
More navigation. I guess I could have turned the sound off. Anyway, after that, there was a big eddy with 2 upstream gates.
Take the I-93 south exit.
2 upstream gates in a row, which were pretty easy, right? You catch the eddy. You just have to aim. You have to enter the eddy at an approximately decent location. So you're, below the second of these 2 upstream gates, not too far below, but not too high. And you just paddle up the eddy. It was calm water up through these 2 gates. And then there was a ferry across, followed by a reverse gate, a gate that you have to go through backwards. And the first several times I tried it, I think I did 8, maybe 7 or 8 practice runs yesterday. I could not ferry the boat. I would lose my ferry angle and get peeled out. Or one time I got bounced back because, I tried to have an even shallower angle so I didn't get peeled out, and then I, did it too much and I got rejected and turned back to the eddy. But eventually I started getting the ferry under control, and I was able to do it, and so I made the back gate, which was nice. I felt very skillful. And then most of the rest of the course was not too dramatic. Not it seemed like the harder part was up top. But there were gates I missed lower down because I misjudged the speed. The speed of the current, how fast I was going, how where I needed to aim. There was one set of gates where there was like gate 14 on River Right, and then there was some current to cross, and then a big eddy in the middle, and then some current, and then gate 15 was just below that. The numbers might be wrong, but so you had to sort of cut through this eddy to get to the other current, and I got eddy turns, so I ended up facing upstream in the eddy, and I had to like turn my way around. Sometimes I made it better, but usually I lost a lot of time there. So that was definitely a spot where I can learn how to do something better. There was one gate. I think they call it a dump gate. It's a downstream gate, but it is at the very top of an eddy. So there's a rock, and they put the gate kind of one of the in this case the river left pole was hanging over the eddy, and the river right pole was hanging over the current. So, and I didn't figure this out until after my last competition run today. The current was not perpendicular to the gates. It was somewhat left to right. And so if you followed the current, it would push you too far to the right, and you'd either touch the right gate, the right pole, or you'd miss the gate entirely, which is what happened to me most of the times. My first practice run, totally terrible. But I improved as the day went by. At one time or another, on one of my practice runs or another, I ran every gate cleanly. I never managed to have a clean run during my practice runs, but it was clear that I was capable of it. Even though the racing boat was definitely a challenge. So I did 7 or 8 runs. I was pretty tired by the end. I was pretty tired after the first couple. I definitely think the training that I did starting in December helped. It's not like I did that much serious training, but if I had gone in, cold today with no practice, with none of those training runs, I'm sure, or if I'd gone in cold yesterday, I would have hit the wall. I probably wouldn't have been able to pick up a paddle today at all. So the training absolutely paid off. And so that was yesterday, and then there was the town hall had a dinner, donation requested dinner last night, which was delicious. Spaghetti, meat sauce, salad, dessert. It was great, and I sat with some of the people that I met yesterday. And then we went back to the campsite, which was right on the river, and there were a bunch of kids, and they were just running around playing, and I sat at Austin Huck's trailer with a group of people who were just talking about random stuff, paddling stuff and some non-paddling stuff and some fart jokes from the adults, not the kids, until like 9:45. Then I had a phone call with Heather and the kids at some point, and went to sleep by like 10:30, something like that. I don't know. It was chilly, slept fine.
In half a mile, keep right to stay on I-93 South.
More navigation. Then today, so I think I said this already. I brought the racing boat and my play boat. Yeah, I did say that. This morning, or last night...
Keep right to stay on I-93 South.
The way it works is you can enter...
Continue on I-93 South for 2 miles.
Up to 3 classes, where a class is a combination gender, age, and boat type. So for example, Master Men's K1 is a class, and there's women's, and there's junior and normal open, and Master, Men's, Women's, K1, C1, C2, OC1, OC2, open canoe. Then there was a rec boat category, which means basically anything that's like not a real slalom boat. And last night, someone pointed out to me, Barry, you're in 2 classes. You could sign up for a 3rd class because you have your playboat. And I was like, oh, well, I drove all the way up here. I'm taking the weekend. Might as well get as much time on the water as I can. I didn't do any practice runs in my playboat, but that's okay. I think I'll probably do better in the playboat with no practice than in the racing boat with practice. So sure, so this morning I went and talked to the organizer, Amy, and said, can I add a class? And she said, sure. So I added the class.